Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be answering your questions. Earlier this week, I asked you to shoot your queries in Instagram. If you aren't following me on Instagram already, go follow. This is my handle. And I was blown away by so many questions from you guys. Thank you so much for posting your queries. I will be answering the ones on Instagram first as they are short and precise. And then I will be answering some from YouTube as they are essays, and a lot of the questions have already been asked on Instagram, so I am just going to answer the ones on YouTube at the end. So stay tuned. So question number 1, where are you from? I realized that I haven't really introduced myself properly, so here is a proper introduction for you guys. My name is Fazia. I am from Bangladesh. I was born and brought up in Saudi Arabia, and I completed my high school over there. Then I moved to Bangladesh to do my undergrad and postgrad, and now finally I came to live here in Calgary as a permanent resident. Question 2. Top 3 websites for job hunting. So the top 3 websites in my opinion would definitely be Indeed, Glassdoor, and Monster. Sometimes LinkedIn is a good website for job hunting as well, but it's actually depending on your career. If you are already a manager or you are already on a higher post from before, then LinkedIn is a great way to find jobs as the professionals look for you over there, and you need like a lot of connections and networking to get jobs from LinkedIn. But the basic website where everyone gets their job is from Indeed, and it's an excellent website to apply for jobs. Question 3. Could you talk about applying with secondary applicant who doesn't have enough points if possible? So I would suggest that the way a secondary applicant can help the primary applicant would be definitely through IELTS. You need to have excellent scores in writing, reading, speaking, and listening if you wanted to boost your scores. And also I would suggest of you doing an educational credential assessment, that is ECA, of your degrees, and this can also help you boost more points for your primary applicant, and the score can go up altogether. Good luck. Question 4. How is the job market in Calgary compared to Greater Toronto area? This is based on my 2 cents. I think Greater Toronto area has more people residing over there, so more competition, and therefore there will be a lot of jobs open over there. But again, there is a lot of competition. In Calgary, people are less compared to Greater Toronto area, so less competition means less jobs. But again, it depends on your credibility. I do think that if you are trying your hardest and if you can speak English properly and you do have the capability to do your job properly, then the right employer will hire you. Also, it depends on what career you are trying your jobs in. If you are in IT or banking, then obviously Toronto would be a greater option to settle in and build your career over there. If you were in health sectors like pharmacy or medicine, and also to some extent IT over here is good. And if you were to customer service, accountant, then Calgary would be a better place for you to apply for your jobs and build your career. So it's completely up to what you want, where you want to reside in, and what kind of job you're looking for. Question 5. How good is the maple syrup? Okay, so I have mixed feelings about the maple syrup. I think that maple syrup, the taste of maple syrup is too sweet sometimes, especially in donuts, which are available in Tim Hortons. But I did have maple flavored yogurts and they tasted really well. I also tried maple syrup in pancakes, and I think that was pretty good as well. But my husband Kazi, he's obsessed with maple syrup. He puts maple syrup in everything and he loves maple. So it's depending on what you like. For me, it can be too sweet sometimes, and I think with yogurt I like it better because yogurt does have sour or bland flavor, so when maple syrup is mixed with that yogurt it tastes well, if that makes any sense. Oh, also, on that note, I wanted to tell you guys that our Canadian notes do smell of maple syrup, and I'm not even joking. It's really something which I found out when I came here, and I was pleasantly surprised. Question 6. Will this be a good time for people landing for the first time? Again, your guess is as good as mine. Right now, given the situation with COVID, things are very much uncertain, and landing right now would probably be not a good idea. But again, it depends on you completely, and I would say just to hold off for a while, how the situation improves over the next few months, and then plan your decision according to that. Question 7. Can you explain about scopes of pharmacy graduates? And somebody also asked me to explain the licensing procedure, so I'm going to answer both the questions on this one. So the scope of pharmacy graduates in Canada basically is that you need to do your licensing exams first in order to get licensed and work as a pharmacist. No, you cannot work as a pharmacist even if you had experience from back home, or if you were even working as a pharmacist or you did your graduation in pharmacy back home. You still need to get licensed. The best you can work is as a pharmacy assistant, but you will still need to pass your first exam in order to apply for a pharmacy assistant, because there are diplomas over here, and a lot of the pharmacy assistants who are hired over here, they do that pharmacy assistant diploma, so they tend to choose those candidates over the international pharmacy graduates. Now for the licensing procedure, at first you need to get your documents evaluated to PEBC. So you need to log into www.pebc.ca, and they have all these steps over there and how to get your documents evaluated. You can apply with your bachelor's only. Once you have your documents evaluated, you can sit for your evaluating exam. You need to pass your evaluating exam, also known as EE, and then you can sit for your MCQ Part 1. So that's multiple choice qualifying exam Part 1. It's a multiple choice questions, and you need to pass that. Once you pass that, you need to sit for MCQ Part 2, also known as OSCE. And finally, when you pass those two, you can work as a pharmacy intern, and different provinces will have different guidelines to how many hours you need to do over there. And then you need to sit for a jurisprudence exam, that is the law exam, depending on which province you are in. There are different criterias for different provinces. And finally, you can be a pharmacist. You also need to get your academic qualifications of English language in again once you pass your MCQ Part 1. More details can be found on www.pebc.ca. They have all the step-by-step instructions and what you should do, and you can have the other questions answered over there. Question 8. Does Calgary feel like home yet? I think home is more of a feeling than being in a certain place. Since growing up, I did not have a specific home. I was in Saudi Arabia, then Bangladesh, and now finally Canada. So I've been moving around a lot. And ever since I was young, I realized that home is never a certain place, but the people who make it home. Obviously, I have my husband here with me, and I do have my friend here in Calgary, so it definitely feels like home, and I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have them in Calgary. So thank you guys for being there. Question 9. Condo rents and best places to look for one Desi couple. This again depends on your job, where you want to reside, and do you want to be near transport or do you have your own car. For Desi couple, northeast would be a good idea if you wanted to stay to your roots and you wanted to be around Desi people and access all the Desi food, as Northeast Calgary is famous for Asians living in over there. I personally think that it should depend on where your job is and how close are you willing to stay near transport. I did a video of cost of living in Calgary, so do check that out. And the rents differ from places to places. If you were to stay in the Northeast, it would be obviously a little cheaper than staying in the Southwest or the Northwest. But Southwest and Northwest, it also depends on the neighborhood you're living in. So just look at my video for cost of living in Calgary and it should give you an idea of how much to spend on rent. Question 10. Do you have plans to travel in Canada? If so, where? Yes, I do have plans to travel in Canada, but traveling in Canada is very expensive when you take flights. In fact, a flight from Calgary to Toronto is 4.5 hours and costs about $500 round trip. So it's pretty expensive, but I do plan to travel once we do get our car and once the COVID situation ends. I do plan on going to Vancouver, visiting Jasper and the other parts of the Rocky Mountains, as well as seeing the Niagara Falls in Toronto and the beautiful colonial streets of Montreal. Question 11. How have you grown since your move to Canada? Moving to Canada has taught me so many new things. So far, I never knew how to cook until I moved to Canada. And as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. So since I don't have my mother-in-law or my mother cooking food for me anymore, I had to learn how to cook a lot of different things. And surprisingly, I did learn a lot of new things, which makes me happy that I now know how to cook. In addition to all this, I also learned how to be more responsible. Before, I would just rely on our maids back home to do most of the work. So when I would come back from work, I would have my clothes pressed and washed and my home all made up. But now that we moved to Canada, I have to do a lot of the chores by myself. And this makes me grateful to think how our moms have been doing this for years and years without any complaints. And it makes me appreciate our moms. Question 12. How hard is it to settle in the cold weather when coming from Bangladesh? I think the answer to this is definitely layers. So you need to get the right jackets from Bangladesh. Again, I did a video on packing essentials, so just watch that video, and I did talk about where to buy your jackets from. It depends on how many layers you're putting on. Calgary sees all 4 seasons together, mostly on one day, so it can start with being really cold and then to being really hot by the end of the day. You need to wear the right amount of layers. You need to layer up at least 3-4 light layers inside and then one heavy jacket on top, so that when it gets hotter, you can remove the extra layers which you're wearing inside, and when it gets cooler, you do have your layers to protect you. If you do have the right clothing and the right boots and gloves, you should be able to survive in this cold weather and it shouldn't be a problem for you at all. Question 13. How good are the winter jackets that you got from your country? I wanted to give an update since it's almost May now, and the packing video which I did was back in September or October. And yes, the jackets are really good. So I do recommend you guys to bring your jackets from back home. So for Bangladesh, you can find those jackets in either Bongo Bazaar or Chandni Chowk. For other countries, do see if you can get your jackets from back home, but they will save you a lot. So the jackets from back home costed only about $30 to $40, and I'm still using those jackets. But if you were to buy a jacket over here, it would at least cost you above $300. And even though they were on sale in January, it wouldn't go below $70 to $80. So it's a huge save when you get your jackets from Bangladesh, and they did last us the entire winter, and it's still in good condition. I think they will be lasting us for at least 2 more winters. So I suggest you guys to bring your winter clothes from Bangladesh, and if you are in any other country, do look if you do have good winter clothes over there and at a cheaper price, and do your research. If they are better and if they are of the same quality, then bring them from your country rather than spending your money over here. Question 14. What do you do when you miss your family? So when I miss my family, I did bring pictures, photo albums actually. I look at those and I try to speak to my family once in 2 days. My parents always ask me to do video chat with them, and I do have a niece back home. So that keeps me happy and busy, and I am in touch with all the other family members, my brother, my sister-in-laws, my brother-in-laws. So we are in touch with each other through WhatsApp groups, and whenever I miss them a lot, I either look at the pictures or I just knock them and I ask them how they are, and sometimes do WhatsApp calls with them. Question 15. Hi, how long did it take you both to get jobs after you landed, and what fields? Hi. So it took us a month for my husband and a month and a half for me to get jobs after we landed. And I am working in customer service for an e-commerce business, while as my husband is working in retail management. And I would say that it is very much possible to get jobs as soon as you land. It will take about a month or so. If you just keep on looking and stick to some protocols, I will be uploading an interview video and how to get jobs video soon. So I will be explaining more about how to apply for jobs in that video. Stay tuned. Question 16. What is the acceptance rate as well as the requirements of a medical student applying for residency? I don't have much idea about medical students applying for residency here in Canada, but it's pretty much similar to pharmacists. You do need to give a bunch of exams in order to get your licensing and to apply for residency. For more details, please look up www.mcc.ca. That's Medical Council of Canada. I'm sure they have the step-by-step procedures and will be able to answer your questions more clearly. Okay, and the last question, how to find a home to rent? Like, do new migrants need a guarantor or have to pay for 6 months of rent? Once you come to Canada, I'm hoping that you are staying with one of your friends like we did. If you don't stay with one of your friends, you can book an Airbnb for 2 weeks and you can go around looking for apartments from there. So it depends from apartments to apartments. I would suggest leasing it with a company rather than a landlord, because a company will not be asking for too much of deposits. So we only had to pay a security deposit of $350, and we had to show that we have our savings which we got from back home, and that was enough for us to have an apartment for rent for a year. We did have to show a guarantor, so we showed our friend who's staying here in Calgary, but they never checked their details or anything. It's just for the paperwork. So I would suggest that you guys look for apartments which are under companies, because even if there are any problems at home, let's say if you have plumbing issues or if something broke down, they are faster at responding than taking an apartment in rent with a landlord, because they will not be coming soon and the problem will not be fixed immediately. Also, they do tend to charge up to at least 2 months of deposit. And so that would mean, suppose if the rent is like, let's say $1,000, they would want $2,000 for 2 months in advance, which is very expensive, I would say. And therefore renting with companies There are a lot of companies over here, so renting with them would be cheaper as you would only need to put in $350 deposit. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it. Thank you for posting your questions. I hope this video helps you and helps you plan better in making your move to Calgary. Thank you again so much for supporting me. If you liked my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you are new. I do look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Till then, bye.